in our professional life, it may be in the personal life, there are instances when you need to communicate negative messages, especially those who are in the, even it may be HR, even the finance, whatever the industry. Always you should be able to communicate negative things, not only the positive. Same as you, most of the things, even what I have put into this one, if you do not return your form, please return your form before 2nd August to register for this conference. That is all. Everything is there, nothing is missing. Our shop closes at 10 p.m. every day. Our shop opens from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. So either you can say Monday to Saturday, or else as most of you have put, you can say except Sunday. This one is the most critical thing, because you are putting the value of your own product the way they have written. This model is very popular. Initial part uses this is very popular and good product, but it only does 35 miles per gallon. The word "but" kills the entire value of this product or this vehicle. This model is very popular and it does 35 miles per gallon. So in a way you are saying this is only doing 35 miles, but you are not putting the value of your product. Now in a nutshell, so having done this activity, so what I want you to understand is, most of the time, even in the professional environment, negative things also we need to communicate, but the way we communicate, it may be verbal or non-verbal, might increase the amount of negativity in your message. But you can decrease it, you can reduce the negativity with the way you communicate. So that is what we need to do going forward. When we do activities, when we do assignments and all, I'll be basically looking into this criteria. When you write or when you respond, how will you respond, and even the language usage. If you can memorize these 4 steps, that is enough for you to get a professionally sounds letter. And here I have given you a tip assignment. So you will get an assignment even towards the latter part of this module. And in this assignment, key area, so I am gonna, if either me or whoever the assessor is gonna, sometimes most of the time I do not assess my modules. What I do is, even in my HND and the MBS also, what I do is I give the learning objective and the criteria to another assessor, and they will do. So that day even I can assess my delivery as well. So most of the time I might not assess your modules, but I will get another support from another assessor. So, but tip is, in your assessment, final assessment, you have something from this power formula. Basically you are not asked to write the formula, but in your writing, make sure you have these 4 tips. First one is general purpose. Whatever the thing you have write, it may be now when you write, there are 2 things. One is you write to request something or complain something or something like that with the call to action, or else you write something to inform, right? So in that case, what is your general purpose? For an example, go with this example. Now we'll say you bought a laptop from XYZ company, right? Now you are within the warranty period. Now it is malfunctioning. You are writing a letter or email to inform that, right? That is your general purpose. When you write that, you don't need to focus on anything else. Nowadays you don't need to talk about the COVID and the person, if that outlet manager is one of your friend. So if you are writing an email on behalf of your organization, you don't need to talk about any personal things. Get to the point. So general purpose, set the general purpose, stating that, okay, my laptop which is malfunctioning. Then step 2 is specific purpose and the reasons. Now you can either request to replace or fix it, something like that. Clearly mention, this is what, when it comes to the email or the letter, general purpose is all about your introduction part, and the step 2, specific purpose and the reason, is all about your body content, right? Step 3, you can talk about the facts and information. Now if you are talking about a laptop, order number, purchase date, describe the issue. Even issue also you can describe. Is it something related to hardware or software or anything else, something like that. You can give more facts and information with regard to your writing and all. Step 4 is finally call to action. So what's the purpose of writing this email? Now your step 4 should connect with step 1. right? In your step one, if you are informing something to, fix it and replace, so then under step four, you can set the deadlines as well. Okay, fix it immediately, fix and return to me within 7 days, or so within 1 week, or if you need more details, you can contact, something like that. But these four are the key. If you miss out anything in this case, you won't get the job done. Basically, for an example, we'll say, okay, your laptop is malfunctioning. I am the vendor. You are writing to me. You are sending me an email stating that, hi, so and so, I bought an email from you. Now it is malfunctioning, right? And also you have given the purchase order and details and all. That's all you have mentioned. Now there's no call to action. Now, as I'm from the vendor management, I am receiving so many emails from other clients as well. In your thing, I won't give the priority to your one. But if you have set priority, if you have given deadline to contact, something like that, so it may be a letter, it may be a writing. I strongly suggest you all to focus on these four. Even in my professional experience also, this was the most important thing. Whenever we write to client, these are the four elements we cover. Even when you respond to, also the same thing. When you respond to a client or respond to your stakeholder or your shareholder, someone else, see, okay, when you read a letter or read an email, also go through these four. Okay, what is the general purpose of this letter or email? What they have requested? Is there any particular information? Is there a call to action? And when you go through the email or letter, if you understand that, okay, something is missing, just assume that I send you this email to you. You are the vendor manager of XYZ IT company. I have followed 1, 2, and 4, but I have not provided order number, purchase date, anything with regard to the laptop. Then what happened? Then you have to get back to me again asking those details, which means there are unwanted back and forth emails going. But at the initial stage, if you can put everything, now if we want to get something done, we need to be very much careful to follow this. So this is the power writing formula I would like to suggest to, and same thing even what I was following when we were working with most of the clients, right? So with that, I will explain you a few important, there are so many other things, but important 6 steps to achieve the right outcome and right results. When you this is related to emails and letters both. Structure of your document, organize in your points, keep trim, give your reader break. So those are the 6 items. So we will explain one by one. Now first one is a very important thing. Now when you write an email or letter, structure your document logically. This is very important. So make sure there is an introduction setting. Now this introduction is all about step 1 in Power Formula. So what is the introduction? Sense. And central section stating all the details. Now this central section is all about step 2 and step 3. And then draw it all together with an action section, and finally a simple close. That is step 4 in Power Formula. So when you write something, so follow these things. You should have a clear, concise and professional sound, simple opening, and also under the body section you put all the necessary details. If required, break them down into multiple lines. Finally summarize everything and put the call to action. Next thing is organize your points visually. This is very important. Now rather than writing something as a one whole paragraph, if you can put these things as a number points and bullet points, that can help the reader. Now always when you write something, you need to get into the recipient's shoes and see, okay, if I'm the recipient of this email, can I understand? So rather than putting everything into a one whole paragraph, see how you can break down into multiple segments and numbers, bullets, those things very important. You have to include things like date, time, venue. Now in the previous example, laptop case, if you can put the purchase date, purchase number, any other tracking information, so then the recipient can understand very easily. Keep it trim. This is related to our KISS method. It is very important. Long sentences may be confusing. Most of the time people, this happens actually even in my previous organization. There was one person, he's very good in writing, but he actually came from so that is, he's very good literature. See, he is very good in literature, So then you tend to write all that information comes into mind. You tend to write and put it into a paragraph and paragraph. It won't work. What you need to do is try to minimize, right? Keep sentences short. Maximum 7 to 20 words per sentences is the standard recommended. Because if you have long sentences, if you are very good in conjunctions and the prepositions, and if you connect all those things, like how you write poems and all, essays and all, don't do that. If it is a professional thing, try to limit your sentences into maximum 20 words and go one by one. Give your reader a break. This is very important. As I mentioned previously, think that you are the reader. So then can you understand? There's nothing worse than long paragraph. Use a new paragraph for each separate issue of the main theme, with each paragraph about 4 to 5 lines long. Now this is very important. In your case, it may be information, it may be complaint, it may be request. If you have multiple reasons, that is what I mentioned under step 2, your specific purposes. Understand what are your specific purposes. So by writing this letter, by sending this letter, I would like to achieve these purposes. So then you should have separate paragraphs to mention those things, and also try to minimize maximum 4 to 5 lines per paragraph. And you can easily achieve these things if you focus on eliminating jargons, keep it short and sweet, eradicate all unimportant things, eliminate all non-value adding things. So put only the important things. You can easily summarize all message, but still make it professional sound. Number 5 is very important. Eradicate jargon, something we discussed early in the model unit today. Avoid acronyms and specialist language unless you are sure it will be understood. This is very important. Try to avoid unknown acronyms if it is not familiar to your audience. Now this happens especially in the industry. Now the people, those who are coming from the finance background, they are familiar with certain amount of certain kind of acronyms. Now if you are writing or sending something to non-finance guy, you should be able to make it generalized, right? Especially in the IT industry also, they have separate internal acronyms. Now if you are sending email or letter or writing something to a non-IT guy, so you should be able to put it in a different way. So this is where most of the people make mistakes. Then what happened if you focus on that communication process? If you do not change these acronyms in a proper way, now the recipient, they won't be able to understand the message properly. Then they will decode the message as they want. Use simple words instead of long ones, and simple phrases instead of long sentences. So I mentioned previously as well, try to use simple words as much as possible. Even though you are converse in English, you are very good in English, understand the audience demography, understand their strengths and weaknesses. Based on that, even you should be able to pick the language. The person who is very good in using simple language, understand the audience, is a very good communicator. And if you're gonna use complex language, complex word, and show off your status with the way you write, then we are not good communicators. Number 6, use familiar terms. So this has an interconnection with the previous one. If the reader doesn't understand the words you use, they will stop reading. So ditch the dinosaur language and cut out common use. So this is very important. Most of the time it happens similar to acronyms. Sometimes the people try to use so much of complex idioms and the phrases. Yes, your language might be rich, but audience, the people in the audience, if they are not good in English, or they are not very much conversed in the language like you, so try to use simple one. If you're going to use idioms and all, make sure they are familiar with that, right? So those are the simple tips I would like to share in terms of writing related to letters and email both. So now after this, next half an hour, I'm going to talk about important elements with regard to email writing and the letter writing, combination of both. So after that, we have to summarize everything, and we have a Q&A. So we will give you an assignment or rather task. The reason why I ask you to summarize all the things as much as possible when you write, eliminate jargons and simplify your message and kiss it, this is the reason. Now even you might have, come across situations where you receive more than 10 to 20 emails every day from so many sources. Now, this is one of the research done by Harvard Business. Now it says, see, 3.9 billion users. This is as of 2019. Global email users amounted to 3.9 billion users, right? And they predict it to go up to 4.3 billion by 2023. That is half of the world population, right? This is the number of emails you can, receive. Can you just imagine the amount of email you get? So when you receive those kind of emails, when you receive 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 emails every day, out of those emails, how do you distinguish your email? Same as when you send something out, their inbox also same thing, right? There are people, those who have different ways of managing emails. Now with that, with this, I would like to encourage you all to maintain and have separate email IDs. Basically, if you are registering to online sites, purchasing items in online, have a separate email. So, but for your professional emails or education emails, keep it separate. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the things done. But most of the people out there, they don't do this. So then you need to assume that they are very busy with emails. So then how do you differentiate your email? Because otherwise, it won't work. Now, see, there's another stat in 2017. So alone, only 2017, 269 billion emails were sent and received each day. So these stats, not per year, daily stats, 2018. Now, this figure is expected to increase to over 333 billion daily mails in 2022, right? So you can research, you can, Google it, you can research in any sources. There are so many stats, so many numbers with regard to, I just wanted to show it here just to help you understand how busy people are with email. And most of the time, even you might have done, even I have done. So most of the emails I just, without opening, just click and delete. Or just some of the emails we have, sent it to the spam folder. So among those emails, there might be some important things. How do you differentiate these things? Now, very important thing is parts of email. I'm pretty sure that most of you might have, sent even single emails. But when it comes to the professional environment, when you send emails, there are a few etiquettes you need to follow. So whatever the source, whatever the email type you use, you know that there are 3 fields, 2 fields, CC field and the BCC field. Very important thing is make sure when you are sending an email, put only the relevant people into the 2 field and CC only if it is required. Now, when it comes to the conflict resolution module, I will explain this. Most of the time in the corporate industry, sometimes, people, try to show off, try to fight with each other through emails even, right? When they want to highlight some negative things, they send an email to someone, copy entire organization. That should not do. So if you are writing an email or if you want to communicate something, make sure who are the exact people you want to put into the 2 field. If they are, most of the time, according to the standard, you must put the people into the 2 field. If they have anything to do, if there's any call to action, if they have any job to be done, and CC only there, it may be for an example, I can say now Nakrushan is the immediate coordinator of this course, but Imesha is the key coordinator of the entire module. Now, if Nakrushan wants to communicate only within you, something is not related to even Imesha or even the senior management, he should not put them into even the CC field. But Nakrushan is sending, will say, okay, the status update of this training, weekly update. Now, even the Imesha and the senior management, they want to know what's happening. Now, in that case, it is okay, right? But for an example, we'll say, now I give you an assignment to do. 10 people completed the assignment, even 2 people miss out to complete the assignment. Now, I have 2 options. I can directly send an email only to those 2 people and request them to, okay, you have not completed the assignment, get back to you. That is one way I can do. Second option I can do, I can send an email to those two people, copy in Akrushan. And also third option I can do is I can send 2 emails to those 2 people and copy the entire CSC L&D team. So which one is better? First one is always better because there's no value for them too. They don't need to know whether you have completed the assignment or not, right? They only need to know the end result. Now, if I am your coordinator, I should be able to, directly respond to you. If it is really necessary to keep other people informed only, you put into the CC. BCC is now, there's a trick here. If you want to hide email IDs and all, if you don't want to, if you don't want other people to see the distribution list, if you want to send messages backend hidden message, it is okay to use the BCC, but don't use the BCC just to get unwanted things done. Now sometimes some of the people do that. Okay, I can send email to 2 people, those who did not complete the assignment, but still I can BCC the management. That is also not good. That is also unprofessional. So right, picking up the 2 CCC BCC fields are very important. Based on that only you need to do. Next one is subject line. Make sure you put appropriate simple subject line, because I am a person who is always read emails by the subject line. So with my professional experience, what I have done is, what I used to do is, if the subject line says, the way you put the subject line should be a summarize, concise version of your body. If there's any action to be taken, everything in a professional way, put into the subject line. Then that subject line should be, there should be a relation to the body of the content. Now you can't put something different into the subject line which is not even in your body, right? So that you can do. After that, body content, as I mentioned previously, you use the power formula. Body content, you start with the general purpose, then go to the step 2 and the step 3, step 4. Whether it is an email, it is an email or a letter, body content is very important. But now it is the writing part. When you here, I am not going to help you how to write an email, but only thing is, when you write, now everything what we have learned, focus on this thing. Eliminate jargon, try to make it simple as much as possible, still maintain the professionalism, and try to break it down into multiple sections. Reduce the number of words in a sentence, lines in a paragraph, all those things you need to do. Now after this module today, I have given you a separate case study. That case study you need to complete and send it as an email actually. You can send it to me separately. So when I review that, nothing to worry, I will not mark, I will not give you any marks, but I will see whether you have understood the things what we have learned today. So when you respond to that case study, I will explain that case study. Follow all these steps, right? So that is all you need to focus on. Body content is very important. Finally, keep a line and end with the call to action, and also your signature. Your signature is very important. Now it is your personal email, you can set the signature as you want. But if it is your professional email, most of the time in the most of the companies, they have a separate corporate communication team. Then they might have given you separate guideline how to set the signature and all. So you can follow that. So all in all, what I want to tell you is writing email is very important. So anybody can write email. Okay, Randula asked, below the greeting, should there be a heading? Right, very good question. This is not actually related to email, but if it is a letter, yes, there should be a heading that I will explain when it comes to the letters. We write the, yes, if you have any question, you can ask. So can we have your email address? Yes, I will give you my email address. I don't think it's, okay. Below the greeting, should there be a heading? For emails, it is not really necessary unless it is something related to what you call purchasing something, vendor management or something like that. Because in the email, your heading is your subject line, right? Instead of putting another heading, you can put the same thing into the subject line. Very hardly you see people use the subject line in the email. That is not necessary. But if it is a letter, we need to do that. Right, okay, that is okay. It happens. No issues. You don't need to apologize me. I understand. Right. I hope you understood the basic structure of an email. So we will continue to do this. Even all throughout this session, I will be sending you email. You will be responding to me. When you respond, I strongly encourage you to respond. Then when you respond, I always focus on these four areas, power formula steps. And if you respond to me, if you send emails to me, then and there I can provide you guidance. If you do not, if it is not happening from your end, I won't be able to support you. But we have one standard assignment which you all need to go through. Other than that, most of the time, every week, I will send you at least 1 or 2 emails so you can respond. It is optional, right? If you do, you will get the maximum benefit. Right. With that, since we are talking about emails, I'm going to share you a few important effective email writing tips. This is also something related to previous one. But since it is email is nowadays very familiar, we hardly send letters and all unless it is, legal and most of the time HR, professional things you use emails, but letters. Emails are very important. So I stress more on email. Number one step when you write email, on top of everything what we discussed, respect your audience. That is very important. Number one, most important thing is understand that everyone is busy and you need to respect their time. How do you respect? Keep it short and to the point. Now we'll say, okay, you send me an email with so much of missing information, right? If you want to support you, if you want to respond to you, then again, if information are missing, I need to, get back to you again asking certain amount of missing information. So then you are, misusing my time and same thing. So then finally what happens is we'll have to, share so many emails back and forth. Use bullet and numbers as we mentioned. Step 2, personalize your email. Keep a casual tone as appropriately personalized, because this depends on the audience. If you are writing something to, we'll say, okay, now for an example, now the coordinator of this ADFM, Imesha and all. So when they write to you, she can, use casual tone and friendly tone. But when she send training update to the senior management, she can't use the same thing, right? So direct them to the specific groups, people. So this is very important. Now, if you can, when you write emails and all, if you can, create separate groups in your email box, so then you can easily, understand their strength and weaknesses. Based on that, you can respond. Even greeting also, you can refer to a statement from previous email. This is very important. Now, we'll say if the purpose of writing this email, if there's any linkage to previous, we'll say telephone conversation, paper advertisement, make sure you give that reference, because everyone is busy. Now you, even especially when you, just imagine that you send me an email after about 6 months, 1 year down the line, you want to clarify something related to communication, right? There's no restriction. You can get back to me after this module as well. Now in that case, because I am even working with so many academics, so if you can connect the dots, put in the references. Okay, hi, I am so and so. I attended your lecture, so which was conducted in CFI. Then I can very easily connect the dots. So give the references to something happened in the previous. Next one is remember your audience attitude. When you write, be careful with the word selection, because communication can easily, right? This is all about misinterpretation, perception management. Now, when you use language also in your writing, make sure you use word selection very carefully, because even the one single word might change the quality of your delivery, quality of your message, even it might kill the professionalism, right? Incorporate positive words as much as possible. That's the reason why we did the activity related to negative to positive conversation transition. Use power words like attract, get, something like that, rather than using negative. Focus on content most of the time. 35% recipients open emails based on the subject line alone. I am a member of that 35% group. This is according to research. Most of the people opens up email looking at the subject line. So then we need to be smart enough to write eye-catching, professional subject line. So include appropriate and short subject line. Now, when you write a subject line as well, you need to include most appropriate, but it should be short and sweet. You can't write another essay in the subject line. Next one is get to the point, be polite and keep it simple. Now, as I mentioned previously as well, we'll say, okay, you are sending an email on behalf of your company. So nowadays, everyone is, badly affected with the corona and all. If it is not really necessary, you don't need to ask personal things about the corona, how you all are doing, are you under lockdown, is everything okay? That you can take into the personal email or personal chat. But if you are sending something professional, it is recommended to use only the professional things. The reason why I mentioned this is most of the time now emails are, keep on forwarding and sending to the other party. Now we'll say you initiate an email, and when you initiate the email thread, you ask all those personal things and you relate to your school life. We'll say, okay, you are writing to a vendor and that the person in that organization is one of your good friends. Then you ask all those casual things as the first thing. After that, you talk about the business. Now, you get the quotation and all the details. Then you want to get the approval. So then you need to forward the same email to your management. Now see, so when it goes to the managers, your senior manager, they read the email. Now they find very difficult time to identify the exact message in the initial email, rather than they have to go through all those unnecessary things. That's the reason why I suggest you also not to put unwanted things. Always get to the point. Read thoroughly if you are responding to an email, and make sure to answer all questions. This is very important, especially when you respond. Again, use that power formula. If you are responding to an email, see what are the number of things. Is there a call to action, 1 or 2 or 3? Now, if you respond, don't hurry. We'll say, okay, one customer sends you an email asking 3 things. Now, you are in a position to respond to only 2. 1 you cannot do. So then you can acknowledge the email and send them, okay, 1 and 2 we have answers like this, 3 we can get back, something like that. That is what we need to do. Other than that, what if you do, and you have answers only for 1 and 2, you ignore the second one, third one. That is not good, right? Next one is, include a call to action is, as I mentioned, always if there's anything to be done. As the recipient of the email, if you want me to do anything, you mention that towards the latter part of your writing. After reading your email, recipient should have a clear idea of what to do next. Is this an email just to inform me something, or by reading this email, should I take any action? Right? Tell people exactly what you want them to do, what and when also important. If the recipient have understood, you have written an effective email. And also, if you want to measure your effectiveness of writing email or writing letters is, if you can get a job done sending only 1 email, which means you are very good in communication. That is the basic benchmark you can put to measure your effectiveness. If you want to get something done, you send only 1 email and only 1 response, which means you are good in communication in terms of writing emails. But instead, when you send something, the recipient asks multiple questions, then you respond back and you provide, which means you have not understand the overall picture of the communication piece. And there's no point of having all those good things, but if you miss out this one. Number 6 is the most important thing. 0 spelling and grammar mistake. It shows your professionalism. So now, very important, language usage is very important in the professional environment. You don't need to be thorough in English and also. If you're not sure about your writing and all, what we can do is you can get the assistance from someone is senior. So there's no harm, there's nothing to shame about that. If you are not sure about your writing, all what you need to do is, rather than send in a half-boiled one, what you can do is get the support from someone who is conversant in language. Right, okay, I got one question. Is it professional to send to a close friend who work at client in a friendly manner, since those can be forwarded further? Right, Krishan asked question. I repeat the question. Is it professional to send a close friend who working at client in a friendly manner, since those can be forwarded further? Okay, I would suggest you still not to do that. always you should draw the line. Now, what if that email forwarded to your senior management, then they will, because your friendship, your relationship is something different, but still, if you are sure that that email can go back and forth, send it to clients and your senior management and all, always try not to use that. Because there's no harm of using a professional language rather than using. Sometimes we underline or bold important things. Will that insult the reader? Okay, very good question. That I will cover. Chandana Veerasena asked question that I will cover when it comes to the formatting stuff of the presentation and the rather email. There are some certain standard formattings. Sometimes, yes, it insults and it is not professional enough. And especially when you use uppercase, so many colors, underlines also. You need to underline and bold only important, highly important or priority things, only if it is required. But other than that is not required. Sometimes we underline bold. Okay, same question, repeat again. Yeah, meantime, while I'm explaining in something, so feel free to ask questions. You can send me as private message. I'll make sure to respond. So with that, next one is email etiquette. I'm going to quickly go through these things and same things in detail. Narrations I have put it into the handout. Nothing to worry about, even though I rush through these headings, because all these with the detailed narration, so many text we have put it into the handouts. You can read. So at least focus on these 15 items when you write an email, whether there is a personal one or professional one. Personal, okay, 50-50, you have the chance, but professional, make sure you do follow these things. Number one is, this is a kind of a summation of everything what you have learned in terms of email. I have put it under the etiquette. Include the clear direct subject line. That is very important. And next one is, use professional email address. This is very important. Most of the time, use professional email address. Now, what does that mean? Now, if you are not working in a company, if you are, will say, okay, if you use your personal email, also try to make it professional. How do you do that? Okay, don't use those nowadays. Most of the people update their social media profiles using so much of fake names. Rather than doing that, use your real identity when you even create your email. If it is a professional email, yes. If you are working at CSC, you have chandana@csc.com. That is a professional email. Something similar you can create even your Gmail, Yahoo with your name, either your name or if you are running your own business, use your business name. Other than that, don't use any nicknames and all into your email address. So if you are really focusing on professionalism, right? And next one is, think twice before hitting reply all. As I mentioned previously, yes, you can receive an email with a huge distribution list, but when you respond back, do not reply all. Think whether your response is relevant to all the people in the audience. If not, just reply only to the sender. Don't reply all if it is not relevant, even though there is a personal or professional or academic environment. Include a signature block. This is subjective. If it is your official email, most of the time you have a standard guideline from your corporate communication. This is how you need to set your signature. If it is your personal email, what you can do is at least your name, contact number, if you have any social profiles and all, that is enough. Something professional, something decent signature block you can create and maintain the same signature even in your future communication. Right? Use professional salutation. This is very important when you talk about the salutation. So just this especially happens with the ladies. Now, if you are sending an email to a female participant, if you are not sure about their, we'll say, marital status, try not to use that. Rather than using Miss or Mrs., better to use general statement like MS or dear, sir, madam, something like that. These are the basic professional salutations. Other than that, don't use any other unwanted things, right? So everything shows how professional you are, and use exclamation points carefully, because exclamation points are very important. We use only to highlight or emphasize something, but if it is not really necessary, don't use. Be cautious with humor. Okay, very important thing here also. Now you need to be humorous, you need to be fun loving, but in the professional environment, professional writing, when you do that, try not to make unwanted jokes. Especially sometimes people tend to do that. Even it may be something related to politicals, it may be something related to anything else. You try not to make humorous statement in your writing. Also, don't try not to use emojis and all, fun emojis and all when you write that. Know that people from different cultures speak and write differently. Yes, this is very important. I will touch base on this when it comes to cultural communication, because respect everyone in the audience, as I mentioned multiple times. So understand that the people in this audience, they are coming from the different cultural backgrounds. They speak in a different way. So then you need to respect the way they write. Reply to your email, even if the email was not intended to you. Now, this is very important and very subjective thing. Sometimes we'll say you receive a general email from someone which is not directly intended to you, but you are partly responsible. In that case, you don't need to reply all, but at least just to acknowledge the email, just to see that this email has been received, you can privately send a message to the sender that is more professional. Proofread every message, as I mentioned. No excuse there. You can't make even a single spelling mistake, grammar mistakes. If you are sending to a large distribution list, very important. Add the email address last. Okay, this is one of the nowadays anyway, nothing to worry about that. If you are using the Gmail and all, you can set recall options. But it is good to set the email address last. Ideal sequence is start with the subject line, or else keep the subject line and the to list blank. You write your email, read it multiple times. If it is okay, then second step is put the subject line, then put the to list, and third CC only if it is required, BCC, very rare cases. Double check that you have selected the correct recipients. I mentioned it multiple times, to CC, BCC. Double check multiple, keep your font classic. So that I will cover when it comes to the formatting part. Most of the time, clean classic font we need to use. There are two types of font we need to use in the go into the recipient shoes and see, okay, how about the tone of this email? And if you are working in a professional environment, you can even share your email with one of your subordinates and ask them how is a look and feel of this email, right? Nothing is confidential. Be careful, because nowadays very important, everything is interconnected. So even though we try to keep this confidential, so everything sometimes can go out. So be careful. That's the reason even I ask you not to use unwanted things, personal things, humors in the emails. Even after about few weeks down the line, 1 month down the line, even 1 year down the line, one of your previous email which is unprofessional can pull out by someone else and use it against you. So professional environment, always be professional, get to the point, do only that what is required. Right, so activity time, this is, we are not going to do it now. So this is your activity to do later. So you can do it later and respond to me. Your simple activity is you need to write an email. So this is the scenario. You have not received feedback result for the final assignment you submitted. Draft an email to your academic coordinator and inquire about that. That is the scenario. Now you can assume me as the academic coordinator. You can send it to me. So then I will be focusing on everything what we discussed right now. Focal points, write suitable professional subject line, follow the power writing formula, what I mentioned, eliminate jargon, get to the point. Those are the key areas. This activity, so we are not going to do it right now, but you need to do it and send it to me. I'm not going to mark it, but if you do it, so this one we will take it later. So is there any question? So could you send your email, please? Yeah, okay, I will anyway send my email. Okay, everyone is requesting email. It is chandana@ispeakenglish.lk. chandana@ispeakenglish.lk. This is my personal emails, but you send it to assignment@ispeakenglish.lk. So you better send it to assignment@ispeakenglish.lk and CC me, right? So I just send my email. Anyway, so you can take it. This is my email. So we have a separate company called I Speak English. So I'm using this assignment@ispeakenglish.lk. Right. With that, I'm going to quickly move into the writing letters. So this one is very easy anyway, because since we covered most of the important elements in the email part, only thing is I need to talk about the format. Now, this is kind of subjective things. There are key, this differs from the organization to organization sometimes, but standard three formats: block format, modified block format, and semi-block format. So we have used these things, but I will explain only full block letter format. If you are writing a letter, so this is one recommended thing. Always try to, block format is everything is left aligned. Likewise, you start from your name and address, that is sender's information. Even here you can put date. Then after that, receiver's address, salutation, and here you can put the subject line or the title. One person asked a question. After the salutations, in between the message, you can put the subject line here. Then the message you can separate into multiple segments. So you can end with the call to action. This is one of the standard format used by most of the banks and the financial institute, most of the time block format. But if someone is using semi-block format, like sender's email from the right hand corner, that is also accepted. But nowadays, most of the time we use this one. Sample structure you can use. I would like to take some time to talk about this one. Common formatting standard included. This is for letters and email both. Now, even though most of the people are familiar with the font styles, there are so many font styles. If you use your Word document, there are so many font styles, but only two font families available. These are the web families. One is called serif font, other one is called sans serif font. Now, even in the CSE also, when you file documents in the digitally, either one is accepted, either serif or sans serif. So, but when it comes to the professional writing, most of the time recommended font is the sans serif. The difference in serif and the sans is, now the presentations. If you use PowerPoint presentation, when you use the presentation designing, I will talk about this serif and sans serif in detail. You can see the difference here. Now the serif fonts, a serif on the ends combine each letter together. Make up letter and symbols. That make up letter and symbols, this is okay for writing letters and emails and all. But if you put into the presentation, even the emails also, most of the time, most of the professionals recommend sans serif. Sans serif, you can see there's no stroke here. Each and every letter individually separated. So especially, even you can see in my presentation, headings I have put sans serif, but the body content I have put serif. So especially when you put it into a large big screen or the projector, sans serif font is clearly visible than the serif. So if you are writing an email, always recommended font is sans serif. Example for sans serif is the Arial font that I will give you when you do the designing part. Right now, remember that Arial font is very good. If not, Times New Roman or similar standard font. Times New Roman is a serif font and Arial is a sans serif font. Try to use these two as much as possible in your email body, because sometimes some of the people use Calibri and most of other fancy fonts. Don't use Arial and Times New Roman. Those are the kind of a standard recommended font by the most of the professional as the professional email and the letter body content. Font size that you can come up with if you are preparing a documents. Now, when you document something also, you can come up with even if you refer to my handout, you can see main headings we have a different font size, and the subheadings we can have a separate different font size. Likewise, you can come up with the font size, but the standard font size you can use in an email body or letter is 11 point or 12 point, which is very good, clear and visible when you print the document or when you view it in the screen. Sentence case capitalization is very important. Don't use all cap. Always sentence case capitalization is very important. White background is almost all the time. recommended and identical and very easy to write. 5 by 11 size is a paper. Most of, if you are writing a letter, this is the letter size is recommended. Portrait layout is always recommended. Normally we don't send letters in the landscape. Landscape is this one, horizontal. Portrait is a vertical size. One margin most of the time. That is why most of the universities, and also when you submit assignments, they recommend to keep at least one margin all throughout your document. So that is required for you to keep one margin. Line space also, single line, 1 point line, or double spacing as appropriately you can keep. Black font color is the recommended font color in the professional environment. Black key is always in the white background. Black font is always. Again, you can have exceptions. Sometimes most of the corporate, they have their own colors and the style that is according to the corporate communication guidelines. If you have something like that, it is okay to follow. But if it is not, if you are outside of, or if you are sending your personal thing, then always try to use this. This is very professional. And use of corporate letterhead, this is subjective. If you have your standard corporate letterhead, you need to use that, no excuse. Single or double side printing, this is only for printing. Most of the time professional letters, when you send it, it is single side printing is recommended. You might have seen most of the banks and all, when they send letters, only simple single side. Plain white background is recommended. So these are key things. So you can debate about these points, but standard. Good to great, I am always talking about. So these are the things you can use. Letter writing also, you have an activity. You have recently changed a letter. Follow any letter format. It may be semi-block, block format. Either you can write this as a letter or email. So something related to do this. When you write letter, I will be looking at only this, whether you have followed basic formatting considerations when you write to a letter. And the email, everything what we have discussed, I will be focusing on. Right. If I may summarize what we have done today, if we ignore all the introduction part, basic thing is, whatever the thing you write, it may be an email or a letter, keep it short and simple. Simple formula you need to memorize is KISS it. Keep it short and simple, KISS it. Whatever the response, it may be you are initiating an email or you are responding to your email, try to KISS it as much as possible. When you KISS, eliminate jargons. Most of the important things, as I mentioned, people out there in the professional environment are very busy with so much of emails. If you want to get the attention, if you want to distinguish your email among others, eliminate jargon and get to the point. While you are doing that, use professional tone and language. Even though you are communicating negative message, try to put it in a positive way. Maintain your positivity as much as possible. And follow standard and professional formatting steps, what I recommended towards the latter part of this today. Always try to use formatting standard. Once you are, come up with those standard structure, when you are familiar with those standard structure, it is very easy for you to, follow those things. And also in your email, whatever the source you are using, it may be Gmail or your company email, you can set those settings as well. Okay, email body content, you can set the font and font style, colors and all, and the signature block also. Also, finally, use the writing formula. What I mentioned, writing formula, step 1 is think about the general purpose, then the specific purpose, and if there are any call to action, right? So those are the things you need to do. Follow those steps. This is what we discussed, and few best practices. On top of that, follow all those email etiquette guidelines. That is a different thing. Best practices, what I would like to recommend is, since I pulled this slide during the break actually, because one person had put mentions, few people actually had mentioned about the grammar and all. If you want to improve grammar, this is something I would like to recommend, but don't rely on this. Now there's a separate software called Grammarly. Most of the time it is very famous in the email writing. So you can use that Grammarly software. You can check your grammar and even the sentence structure. There's a free version and the pro version as well. Use that one. And also use and create contact groups. Now, if you are constantly sending emails to a particular group, rather than picking their email addresses and all, you can create email groups. So that is a different training. Actually, I don't intend to do this during this one. You can learn that as well. How to create email groups. It may be in Gmail or whatever the email source you are using. Create separate email groups and labels so you can easily pick and drag those people. Use create email templates also. This is also very important best practice. What I normally do is, now I as a professional trainer, I have a separate templates, email templates created to send out training proposals. Now I have my proposal created in my drive, and also the email templates also I have done. Now after this module, I will be sending you follow-up email summarizing everything with the follow-up activity. That is, for that also I have a separate module. And uh, and also Nakushan, I asked him to share your email addresses if possible, so I can. Now I am going to create a separate email group for your group, your audience, so easily I can pick them and use a template. Now if you can use those template and group, you can easily do that. As I mentioned previously, start to write your email, keep in the to field blank. That is very important, to field blank. After you can decide who are the important people you need to put into the blank field. Then start with the subject line. That is one option, or else you can write the body content and go to the subject line. But make sure you put the subject line. That is why I keep the to field blank, because subject line is very important. Sometimes you write very professional email, but if you miss out to put the correct subject line, you will send an email without a proper subject line. So don't do that. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, very important thing. So you can even use this email as anger management tool. If you are very angry and frustrated with someone, but make sure you don't put that person into the to field or don't write any subject. Write everything in the email. All use those even the filthy words, jargons, everything what you want to blame, write into the email. This is something additional to this training I am just suggesting you. Best, you can even use the email as the anger management tool, but don't send it. After that, multiple times when you read and when you type everything what you want to say, so your anger, it reduces. And after that, when you read it multiple times, you can eliminate all the unwanted words and try how to make it professional sound.